Hey guys, Nathan here from Outer Limits Travel. Today I'm going to install the Tow Pro Elite to the PX Ranger. So I'm going to go through where I mounted the unit, where I put the dial and where I ran all the wires. Because I went online and I couldn't find much on where to plug in. It's probably easier with a wiring kit, but not that hard if you've got all the wires and everything laying at home. Probably took me 4 hours all up, pulling everything out. Wasn't too bad. So sit back and I will run you through it all. So that's a little zip tie down in there you have to snip off. Just be careful you don't get these wires that run up for your 4B switch. Otherwise you'll be in a world of hurt, I reckon. So you just undo it from your 4B switch down the bottom. There's your shroud that sits in there. So I'm going to try and screw mine down in here. May just have to buff out these little supports for when my clip goes on. You might even try and mount it down in here somewhere. Oh, I found $5 too, yeah boy. So I've drilled a little pilot hole right there and worked out that by the time that goes in, should fit sideways in between those grooves and I won't have to buff them out. Alright, so I drilled a 10mm hole and I got it sitting perfect right down in between that groove and right beside my dial. Alright, so my little switches there ready to roll. Now just got to try and find a place to mount this. Now you have to mount them in a solid position so the actual mercury switch works when you're braking. So you can't go hanging them off cables loosely everywhere, otherwise it'll send a false reading. Alright, so I've undone the torque screws underneath the glove box and I've fed some zip ties up underneath through just to hold the unit in position, and then I'll run a bead of sticker. Over the back of there, so when she dries it ain't going anywhere. Alright, so it's all mounted in behind the glove box. Wait for the silicone to dry and then I can start doing the wires. Alright, so I ran a conduit from the back up to the front. Got a spare wire here for later. And then just ran the blue brake one down in through the firewall. There's a little grommet here I just chopped off with the side cutters, so you can run all your wires, and then I'll smash a bit of silicone in that later so it's still sealed. Alright, so I've soldered most of my kit here. Like a bit of heat shrink on the outside. Now just got to feed these in through the firewall and then whack on all the fuses. So I'm just going to solder this top fuse that's going to go into the battery. Bit of a tip when you solder and you don't want your solder to drop on anything, put a bit of timber or something underneath it. I've already got my heat shrink slid down the wire, ready to go. And just like that. Alright, so now my silicon's dried, the unit's all mounted solid as. Now I've tried to find a heap of information on the internet about actually how to wire this up. And if you go to America, they can just tap into some points here, but I don't know where the bloody hell they are. And I can't find anything anywhere. So I've run my brake light wire down this way, up through there, and then over to the brake light. I'll show you that later. The earth just straight down to this point in behind the kick guard, and then the positive and the brake trigger that goes to the back of your trailer plug, I just put them through the little grommet in the firewall, and I'll show you that around the front. So I've got my trailer trigger wire and the positive coming out of the grommet. Trailer one goes down into my conduit and I ran that down to the chassis. Also ran a spare wire just as a feeder in case I need to pull over the cables or use that one for later on. And then up around the side. I've got my positive with 30 amp fuse, and it goes onto the terminal. So then I'll go around to the brake side. Alright, so my brake trigger wire comes down through there. Now I've scotch clipped it straight onto that violety blue colour wire coming off the brake switch, which is the bottom black one, and tried it all out. Everything works sweet. Right, so down the chassis I ran the line that goes down to the back for the trailer brakes. I used a 4mm squared cable, and then it goes into the old service line. You just pull the old service line wire back and then push your new one in. They recommend 3 to 4. I used a 4 just for the extra amperage because our caravan's going to be pretty big, but definitely don't go any less than 3. Alright guys, there it is, install for the REDARC Tow Pro Elite on the 2014 PX Ranger. Now I don't claim to be an auto sparky, but I think it was pretty good. So if you liked this video and it helped you, give me a like and subscribe for more videos to come. See you later.